If you want to learn about chocolate, just follow your nose to the Scheffenberger Chocolate Factory in Berkeley, where artisans cook, pour, and then mold some of the best chocolate in the Bay Area.
So who would call this devil's food? Well, it would have to be somebody who hates something that tastes this good.
Try the original Pilgrims.
The Pilgrims were the Taliban of Christianity, being kicked out of the British Isles. Well, the Pilgrims felt that laughter and singing and dancing and card playing and all those things were really mortal sins.
And John Scheffenberger says that the name devil's food dates back to the time when the Puritans were being pushed out of England. Before they set sail for the New World, they holed up in Amsterdam, where chocolate had become the rage among the social set.
So they built a halfway house in Amsterdam on their way to Plymouth Colony, and that just happened to be right next to the biggest chocolate house in Europe. So the Pilgrims, who were not known for liking food or liking laughter or liking anything fun, had to deal with chocolate in a way that sort of they thought was quite sinful. So by 1694, chocolate was banned in the United States as devil's food.
But eventually, the story goes, a French baker came up with a chocolate cake so sinfully delicious, he borrowed the Puritan nickname devil's food. And like thick frosting, it stuck.
Send us your good question at cbs5.com.
A Friday evening in downtown Scottsdale. Lots of people, lots of drinks. That, of course, can mean several things, including lots of trips to the toilet.
It's the first of its kind in the Southwest. I don't think there's another bar that exists like this here.
Oh, wow! That's the expression most people have when they walk to the back and find the bathrooms, each one private, accommodating either a man or woman. But one more detail, each has a see-through glass door.
At first it was kind of shocking, but then they got, okay, this is cool.
Okay, before your mind starts running wild, those doors we mentioned are also equipped with a shield mechanism. Just twist the lock and the person disappears and can take care of business without worrying if people are watching.
I think it's great if you remember to lock the door. You gotta remember to lock the door.
Problem is, a lot of people don't. With the camera rolling, watch as this guy prepares to go, but is then alerted by the attendant, Greg Calvert. He says women forget as often as the men.
Women are the funniest because they go and they sit down, and then I go tap on the door, tell them to lock the door, and they're not sure whether they should get up, finish, they're not sure what to do. So
what do they do?
Yeah, they catch them early. Some people are just, it depends on what you had to drink. They don't care. They want to finish.
Greg isn't the only guy relegated to bathroom duty. They got other people on staff who literally go in and clean up every time someone finishes.
As we know, guys tend to be a little bit more messier than women. So we actually, before somebody can go into the bathroom, we actually have an attendant cleaning the bathroom for us every single time.
Now, one other place where you can find a unisex bathroom is on the airplane. While you'd think the little airplane bathroom in this facility would have absolutely nothing in common, that may not be exactly true. As we mentioned off the top, it's a bar with lots of drinks and lots of people, and lots of stuff can and does go on. You've heard of the Mile High Club. Just call this the 6 Bathroom Club. On the record, managers will only say they've heard rumors. This is the politically correct response.
We actually are very professional in how we run our business.
And business at 6 seems to be doing very well. A place that takes pride in its attention to detail in all the familiar places.
They just look like a blur by car and even a bit mysterious by trolley, because it turns out the secrets of the Embarcadero's black and white poles are all hidden on the flip side.
It's about a foot square, it's 13 feet tall. Some people get them. You have to look for the text a little bit on them.
Dan Hodad with the Port of San Francisco says the poles are officially known as art pylons, and each one contains a pictorial history of the area that it's placed in.
Well, we're in front of the ferry building here, so that's what this one's about. The ferry building is over 100 years old, and it gives the ferry building at different points in time. They're part of a collection of interpretive art up and down the waterfront that includes poems put in the pavement along the walkway, street names in bronze.
Well, the art history here along San Francisco's Embarcadero isn't all that obvious. Take these glass blocks, for example. They actually mark the seawall. On this side, it's land. On this side, it's bay.
Looking at the waterfront, there are many layers of history you can come across. It's kind of like peeling an onion. You can learn a little more each time.
From writing a check, to driving a car, to boarding an airplane, most of us all use the same document to prove who we are, our driver's license. But what if it had a hidden chip that could broadcast your personal information instead?
Why not? I mean, I had nothing to hide.
I have mixed feelings. You know, it could be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing.
Basically, it's kind of scary if you look at it.
The technology is called Radio Frequency ID, or RFID for short. Here's how one system works. A chip embedded in a card or document is connected to a micro-thin antenna around the edge. A reader up to several feet away sends an electromagnetic signal that probes the chip, which can then transmit information back to the reader. While no decisions have been made public, the Department of Homeland Security is set to unveil mandatory standards for driver's licenses across the country. They could include systems like biometrics, facial recognition, and possibly RFID, which says some critics raising a red flag.
There's a basic question. Should our government require us to carry government identity documents that broadcast our personal information without our knowledge and consent?
Bay Area Senator Joe Simitian has introduced a bill that would put a 3-year moratorium on placing RFID in documents like the California driver's license.
Before we have millions and millions of these things in our driver's licenses or government health benefit cards, let's take a look at the privacy implications and see if we've really got the issue well in hand.
Here at SFO's International Terminal, RFID is already reality. The airport's in the process of testing a new passport system that's about to become the standard.
Okay. Subject matter expert.
I'll move it back.
These passengers from Australia and New Zealand are already carrying passports embedded with the RFID microchips. Behind the customs agent, a screen we're not allowed to show you displays the holder's personal information, including a second photograph, separate from the one printed on the document itself.
The only one that really counts is that photograph that comes up on a screen.
That's because, unlike the paper photograph, it's considered nearly impossible to forge. And beginning in October, every new U.S. passport will include microchips with RFID. Still, even security experts who believe in the technology say it's an ongoing battle to keep it secure.
If the card isn't designed properly, you can have information about the keys leaking out electromagnetically as the card operates.
Security expert Paul Kocher tests RFID cards for flaws. He says most of the new chips have sophisticated anti-tampering features built in. But in the past, hackers have managed to crack older versions using specialized equipment to read their electromagnetic signals.
There's an arms race essentially that goes on between the companies that design the chips and people who both evaluate them and attack them.
But with a deadline from Congress looming at the end of next year, the push to accurately identify Americans is only increasing.